For 9 seasons, millions of Americans welcomed Roseanne and Dan Connor into their homes. They watched them struggle to pay bills, argue about their kids, and somehow keep their marriage together through all the chaos of everyday life. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't perfect. And that was exactly why people loved it. Roseanne felt real in a way television rarely did. Then, in 2018, the show made one of the biggest comebacks in TV history. Ratings exploded. Fans returned in massive numbers. It looked like a miracle revival. But just 12 weeks later, everything was gone. One tweet erased it all in less than a day. And when the cameras finally stopped rolling, what happened to the man behind Dan Connor revealed a much deeper story. To understand what was lost, you first have to understand what Roseanne meant. When the series premiered on ABC in October of 1988, it immediately stood apart from other sitcoms. The show centered on a working-class family in the fictional town of Lanford, Illinois. They never seemed to have enough money. Problems rarely had easy solutions. Arguments didn't always end with hugs and lessons learned. Sometimes people stayed angry. Sometimes life was simply hard. That honesty was revolutionary. At the center of everything was the relationship between Roseanne and Dan Connor. Dan was played by a relatively unknown actor from Missouri named John Goodman. He had spent years working small roles without a major breakthrough. But the moment he and Roseanne Barr appeared together, something clicked. Their chemistry felt effortless. Goodman later said they made each other laugh from the very beginning. The connection wasn't forced. It was natural. And audiences could feel it. The show quickly became a phenomenon. By its second season, it was the most watched program on television. Week after week, 20 to 30 million people tuned in. Goodman earned 7 straight Emmy nominations and won a Golden Globe in 1993. Roseanne Barr won major awards as well. More importantly, the show tackled subjects most sitcoms avoided: poverty, domestic abuse, sexuality, financial stress, the embarrassment of constantly falling behind. For nearly a decade, Roseanne showed a side of American television rarely acknowledged. But then something strange happened. What began as one of television's most realistic family stories ended in a way many fans never forgave. The final season abandoned much of the show's grounded approach. The Connors suddenly won the lottery. Then came an even bigger twist. The finale revealed that Dan had actually died years earlier. Everything viewers had watched afterward was simply part of a story Roseanne was writing to cope with her grief. Fans were stunned. For 20 years, that was the ending. Dan was dead. Roseanne was alone. And the show became a memory preserved through reruns. Then came 2018. ABC decided to bring Roseanne back. The revival premiered on March 27, 2018, and the response was overwhelming. More than 18 million viewers watched live. With delayed viewing included, the audience grew beyond 27 million. It became the biggest comedy launch in years. ABC renewed the series almost immediately. The controversial ending from the original run was erased. Dan was alive again. The lottery story became something Roseanne had written. The family returned older, struggling financially, and still arguing over the same kitchen table. America loved it. John Goodman returned as Dan. Laurie Metcalf returned as Jackie. Sarah Gilbert returned as Darlene. It felt like television history had been restored. The ratings suggested the comeback could last for years. But then everything changed in a single morning. And what happened next moved faster than almost anyone could believe. On May 29, 2018, Roseanne Barr posted a tweet about Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Barack Obama. The tweet compared Jarrett to a combination of the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. The reaction was immediate. Critics condemned the comment as racist. By mid-morning, backlash was spreading everywhere. Sarah Gilbert publicly rejected the statement. Producer Wanda Sykes announced she was leaving. Barr's talent agency dropped her. Then, at 1:48 that afternoon, ABC cancelled Roseanne. From the moment the tweet appeared to the moment the show was cancelled, roughly 12 hours had passed. Think about that for a second. The #1 show on television vanished in half a day. Hundreds of people suddenly lost their jobs. A revival that looked unstoppable simply ceased to exist. But while the public watched the controversy unfold, another story was happening behind the scenes. One that few people fully understood. Roseanne Barr apologized and later blamed the sleep medication Ambien. The company behind the drug responded with a memorable statement, saying racism was not a known side effect. The controversy dominated headlines. Yet John Goodman remained mostly silent. When he finally spoke months later, his reaction surprised many people. He wasn't angry. He wasn't political. He was heartbroken. In an interview that August, Goodman admitted he had gone through about a month of depression following the cancellation. He had long been open about struggling with depression. He described himself as someone naturally prone to it. The end of Roseanne hit him harder than he initially wanted to admit. The timing made it even more difficult. Goodman had already fought a decades-long battle with alcoholism before getting sober in 2007. He often described those years as a disease that affected everyone around him. Sobriety had saved his life. Now, more than a decade later, he found himself dealing with another emotional blow. The cancellation triggered a dark period that lingered for weeks. But here's what made his response so complicated. Even while grieving the loss of the show, Goodman defended Roseanne Barr. He publicly said he knew she was not a racist. He wasn't defending the tweet itself. Instead, he was trying to reconcile the person he had known for 30 years with the public controversy that had consumed her. It was the reaction of someone struggling to separate a lifelong friend from a terrible public mistake. Barr noticed. She thanked Goodman publicly for standing by her. After the cancellation, he sent her an email thanking her for giving up her rights so the cast and crew could continue working. He never received a reply. At the time, he assumed she was overwhelmed by everything happening around her. What neither of them knew was that the silence would last for years. Soon after the cancellation, ABC made a remarkable decision. The network would continue the story without Roseanne Barr. The new series would be called The Conners. Barr would have no creative or financial involvement. That left the writers with an enormous challenge. How do you remove the central character from a show that literally carried her name? Their answer shocked viewers. When The Conners premiered in October 2018, audiences learned that Roseanne Connor had died from an accidental opioid overdose. The family initially believed she suffered a heart attack, but a later autopsy revealed the truth. The writers wanted to connect her death to the real opioid crisis affecting many American families. Roseanne Barr hated the decision. She publicly condemned the storyline. Yet despite the controversy, the show survived. Then it kept surviving. Season after season. Year after year. The Conners eventually ran for 7 seasons and 112 episodes. That's an achievement many sitcoms never reach. And through all of it, John Goodman remained the emotional center of the show. He continued playing Dan Connor. He carried stories built around loss, grief, and family resilience. Week after week, he showed up and did the work. Then came one final moment nobody saw coming. When The Conners aired its series finale in April 2025, the ending featured Dan sitting alone on the familiar couch after everyone else had left. He looked directly into the camera and quietly said goodnight. The line wasn't scripted. Goodman improvised it. The producers loved the moment and kept it in the episode. Later, Goodman explained that he simply wanted to thank the audience. It lasted only a few seconds. But somehow it said everything. After decades of playing Dan Connor, his final instinct was gratitude. Yet behind that simple goodbye was another story. One that had remained unresolved for nearly a decade. In July 2025, Goodman sat down for a long interview. During the conversation, he was asked whether he still spoke with Roseanne Barr. His answer was simple. No. Then he added something even more surprising. They hadn't spoken in 7 or 8 years. Let that sink in. 2 people whose television marriage defined an era. 2 people who built one of the most successful sitcoms in history. 2 people who once made each other laugh every day. And they had not spoken in nearly a decade. What made the answer even sadder was the way Goodman described her afterward. There was no bitterness. No anger. He spoke warmly about the early years. He remembered how much fun they had. He remembered the incredible ratings. He remembered the excitement of building something special together. And in earlier interviews, he had been even more direct. He said he loved her. He said he missed her. He said he wished her well. Those are powerful words coming from someone who hasn't spoken to a person in years. But why had the silence become permanent? That answer remains unclear. As the years passed, Goodman and Barr moved in very different directions. Goodman continued working steadily. He finished The Conners. He appeared in new projects. He voiced animated characters. He joined major film productions. Even after suffering a fractured hip during filming and losing his Pacific Palisades home in the devastating 2025 wildfires, he kept moving forward. He stayed sober. He attended his meetings. He kept showing up. Barr followed a different path. In the years immediately after the cancellation, she expressed regret. But over time, her position changed. By 2025, she publicly withdrew her original apology. She argued that apologizing had only made things worse. She insisted she was no longer friends with her former castmates. They belonged to the past, she said. Yet even then, there was a strange echo of Goodman's feelings. She said she still had fond memories. She wished them all the best. It's fascinating, isn't it? Both of them wishing each other well. Both of them remembering happier times. Yet neither speaking to the other. Two people standing on opposite sides of a silence neither seems able to cross. And that brings us to what this story was really about. The reason Roseanne ended isn't complicated. Roseanne Barr posted a racist tweet. ABC cancelled the show. The facts are clear. What John Goodman revealed over the years was something different. He revealed what happened afterward. The depression. The unanswered email. The years of silence. The challenge of continuing a show built around the absence of someone who had once been his closest creative partner. He showed what it feels like when a 30-year relationship doesn't end because of a personal fight. It ends because of something larger. Something public. Something neither person can fully undo. Goodman never tried to rewrite history. He never tried to excuse what happened. He simply carried the consequences. He defended someone he cared about. He acknowledged his pain. He stayed sober. He kept working. And when it was finally time to leave Dan Connor behind, he sat alone on an empty couch and quietly said goodnight. The show is over now. The couch is empty. The audience has moved on. But perhaps the saddest part of the entire story isn't the cancellation. It isn't the controversy. It isn't even the end of a television institution. It's the silence. Because after all the ratings, all the awards, all the laughter, and all the years, two people who once shared something extraordinary haven't spoken in nearly a decade. And in the end, that silence may be the thing that truly ended Roseanne.